Hey, MCE crew, let's do a weekend review. Okay, a lot has happened this week with your money, and let's talk about it. First of all, we officially, as a nation, we officially crossed the $30 trillion debt mark. Now, let's get into this a little bit and examine this number for what it is. Now, a lot of people have been saying, "Oh, we're at the third. We owe $30 trillion in debt as a country." They've been saying that because we were up around 28, 29 trillion, and they were just rounding off, which is perfectly acceptable. But we've officially crossed that. We're north of $30 trillion. I've said on the channel before, it is very important that you be able to conceptualize a trillion, just 1 trillion. If you counted from 1 to 1 trillion, using approximately 1 second to pronounce each number, it would take you 30,000 years. That's 1 trillion, okay? Now, that $30 trillion number, it doesn't even tell the whole story, because when you count the unfunded liabilities that America has of Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid, then we are north of $200 trillion in debt. I don't even think there are 200 trillion stars in the local group, okay, of galaxies. So it's a problem, all right? And your share of that as an American taxpayer is somewhere in the neighborhood of $230,000. Now, as we always talk about on the channel, you can either let the United States have the $230,000, or you can legally reduce your tax debt. We talk about it extensively here on the channel. One way to do that is with a qualified plan. You can reduce your taxable income in the here and now. All right, so you put money in your 401k and it'll reduce your taxable income. Let's say you make 50 grand per year and you put 2,000 of that into your 401k. Well, you're not going to be taxed on 50 grand. You'll be taxed on 48 grand. Here's the problem, or the challenge, or the trade-off, more appropriately. When you go to touch that money at 59 and a half or later, then that's when the taxes will kick in, because your 401k, your 457, those are tax deferred qualified plans, not tax exempt, tax deferred. So when we talk about this national debt and your share of it, you have to understand that you're going to have to figure out a way to reduce your tax debt legally in the future. Another way to do that is by owning a business, okay, and being able to deduct things associated with the operation of your business. The IRS allows that. You should always talk to a CPA and get them to weigh in, because you do not want to run afoul of the IRS. You don't want to do that, okay? You want to play by the rules, and there are plenty of rules out there to help you reduce your taxable income, or your tax liability, I should say. One of those is the good old permanent insurance policy. A properly structured insurance policy will have you put money in today that's already taxed, and then it will have it grow tax-free. It will have it, you be able to get your hands on it, okay, tax-free for any reason, at any age. As long as it's there, you can tap into it. And when it's time to distribute that money to your heirs, it flows tax-free. So that's the national debt story. We have officially crossed the $30 trillion mark in national debt. And full speed ahead as far as these guys in Washington are concerned. We'll probably be at somewhere in the neighborhood of 35 trillion. I'd say by the time the presidential elections come around. Okay, we'll see if I'm right. All right, the next thing is, notice how all of these politicians, not just in the United States, but in the world, are backing away from all of the shutdown, mandate, all of that. Why would they be doing that? Well, for one reason, it's not working. Okay, it hasn't worked. Johns Hopkins issued a study. Johns Hopkins, okay. Now, Joe Rogan is in a lot of hot water because Joe Rogan did an interview with a specific doctor, and that doctor is, being questioned. But who the hell is going to question Johns Hopkins, right? Johns Hopkins came out with the study and said that, you know what? Lockdowns were not effective at all, okay? I think the figure that Johns Hopkins cited was 0.2% effective. They played no role in helping to control the you know what, okay, that we've been dealing with since 2020. So a lot of businesses, let me tell you what, China Clipper, China Moon, CJ's Seafood, who else? Artful Gourmet, got a list right here. Collins Seafood, all of those restaurants, okay, they're gone. Those are restaurants that me and my wife loved to frequent, but they're gone now, and they're not coming back, and they got hit hard during the shutdown. So people like our governor here in Maryland, who I never tire of pointing out what a hypocritical bastard this guy is, he comes out and he acts, believe it or not, this guy issued a statement acting as if he hadn't shut down the economy of this state, okay? The statement read, "My message to you tonight is that we must all learn to live with this virus, not to live in fear of it." This is a man who ran around the state and was on Meet the Press, and he thought it was cute to say, "Wear the damn mask." He said, "Wear the damn mask." I'm like, who the hell are you talking to? This is a guy who for most of his term as governor has been morbidly obese, okay? But he didn't understand the great risk he was putting himself and his family at, apparently, by not controlling his weight, all right? And he's done things about that subsequently, but no one ever approached him about that. No citizen ever came up to him and indicted him about his health choices, okay? But he goes on to say, "We can't let it continue to dictate how we live our lives. Our offices and businesses need to be open. Our kids need to be in school in person." That's not the tune that this sucker was singing back in 2020, okay? Or in 2021 for that matter. But why is he changing his tune like that? Well, one reason, and you might hear my dog barking, he's very upset at this whole issue. He, like we both agreed that the shutdowns were BS, and now we're vindicated. And so he's upset about not being recognized sooner for his foresight. But this guy actually ordered shutdowns in the state. Remember, the president didn't do that. Governors did. Hogan shut this state down, destroyed businesses and jobs in the process, and now he's trying to act like it never even happened. And I, for one, ain't going to let him forget about it. He wants to run for higher office. He actually believes that he can be president. This proves to you what kind of mind you have to run for office in the first place, because it's totally unrealistic to believe that this individual, once they start to dissect his record, because he's really not done much of anything here in Maryland, and part of the reason for that is because this is a blue state. This is a Democrat-run legislature. He is a so-called Republican who really, in the final analysis, has used the crisis of 2020 to use it as a stepping stone. He wants to be senator and or president. I think either will do, During the midst of people losing their businesses and losing their jobs, he went out and bought a home in excess of $1 million. Okay, so let them eat cake. All right, so that's what's going on there with the national debt, and also with these, the shutdowns are over. The mandates, they're Quebec. They had this thing where they were actually considering taxing people who didn't have a certain medication. You know what I'm talking about. Now they're backing off of that, okay? Might have something to do with the convoy that is, going through Canada right now. But it's no longer popular. I just watched the thing from New Zealand. The lady down there, Prime Minister, was saying how, they're going to open things back up and we can't let this rule our lives, when they've pretty much pumped the message of, let it rule your life for the past 2 years. So they must have a war planned, or, They want to pivot to something else, and the fact that they read polls. This is how they govern. They stick their finger in the air and see which way the wind is blowing. And they have calculated that this issue is no longer one that will assist them in remaining in power. And when they're out of power, then it's going to make it more difficult. Some of these people might have to go get, like Joe Biden said, a 3-letter word, jobs. Okay? Some of these people might have to go and work for a living. And they can't have that. So you got to back off of this issue and just, we've made our money or whatever. We've gotten our seat. We want to keep it. So there you have it. Okay, guys, the last thing I want to talk about is Facebook. Facebook's membership is down, and they're having some difficulties over at the company. The stock was down over 26% today, the 3rd of February. When the market closed, they were down. My dog must be a Facebook investor because he won't shut up. He is, pretty upset about this development. I told him I wouldn't do it, but, he's got his own mind. So Facebook's total user base declined for the first time. This puts more pressure on Zuckerberg's bet on the metaverse, okay? That whole virtual world that he wants to become a part of. So we're looking at another issue. If their membership is declining, then it might not be such an attractive place for small businesses to advertise anymore, okay? And there are more small businesses than there are large businesses. If they keep going through phases like this where they're losing membership, then what's going to end up happening is they're going to have to adjust their rates downward in order to attract advertisers, because otherwise you can't make the case that you can charge the same rate if you're reaching potentially fewer eyeballs, fewer potential customers. So it has declined, and this is the first time it's done so in 17 years. Let's see, the shares were down tremendously, and we'll see what happens. Again, they're trying to pivot toward the metaverse. You saw Zuckerberg do the presentation on that. You may have seen that, where it's a virtual world that they want to really exploit and get into. A lot of companies are developing virtual products for the metaverse. So it's going to be really interesting. I believe it is going to be an opportunity for entrepreneurs to be able to make money. However, I'm not going to be in the metaverse. You won't find me there because the social media giants have made it pretty clear that they are not interested in duplicating things like the Bill of Rights inside their virtual worlds. They're not really big on free speech. So right now, a lot of people get put in Facebook jail for espousing certain viewpoints, okay? And that's just a text, an image, or maybe a video. Imagine if you're an avatar inside this virtual world and you say something untoward. Imagine what they'll do to you in there. So no thank you, Zuckerberg. I won't be participating in that because you've demonstrated yourself, Jack Dorsey, and the folks over at Google as well, have demonstrated what happens when you espouse viewpoints that they don't agree with. So I think that the social media companies should lose market share if they're going to continue along those lines. All right, guys, look, I'm going to talk to you soon. I really appreciate you hanging out, and I want to drop one thing on you. We're going to be putting these videos out on other platforms as well. Now, you're joining us here on YouTube, and we appreciate it. If you haven't subscribed, go ahead and do so. But I've noticed that we've got over 300 videos on this channel. We've got 770 subscribers at this point, and I'm extremely grateful for that and thankful that you all chose to hit that subscribe button. But I personally believe this message needs to be spread a lot further, and YouTube just ain't cutting it. They're not, for the amount of videos we have, for the things that we've done. We try to follow all the optimization techniques and whatnot, and it's just not happening to the extent that we wanted to. So we're not going anywhere. We're going to stay right here and continue to produce content and put it out there and try to educate people on ways to achieve financial independence. But in order to grow the message, we're going to also put these videos on other platforms. So if you're on Facebook or if you're on, they've got this thing called Reels. I'm researching a lot of things right now. Rumble is out there. And just, we've got the content. Why not put it in other places as well? So I appreciate not only your membership or your subscribership, your viewership. I appreciate the tips and interaction that I've had with folks in the comment section. Duke of Prunes is out there. Billy Breakerhoe's out there, always giving good, tips and insights and commenting and feedback, and I love it. All right, guys. So I will talk to you soon. To learn more about how you can achieve financial independence, check out these videos we recently posted on the Money Changes Everything channel.